Hello everyone, welcome back to Too Much. My name is Emma Grace and I am your host. This video podcast is a confessional and reflective podcast for the girls who have been told that they are dramatic, sensitive, opinionated, jealous, romantic, intense, or hard to love, and the whole time just suspected they are paying more attention to the world around them than everybody else. This podcast coincides with a weekly column that I release on Substack every single Wednesday. If you've seen the channel before, I'm so happy to have you back. Thank you so much for your time today. And if you know me from other social media platforms, it is likely my TikTok and Instagram. I talk about the exact same things that I do here on my short form platforms. So I hope you like this if you like what you see on TikTok and Instagram. If you enjoy this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Without further ado, if you want to skip the catch-up session, no worries. I know I talk too much. Hello, that's the point. But if you want to skip it, this is the time code that you should skip to. And for everyone that wants to stay, I just got back from Washington, D.C. It was very fun. I made a music video and I didn't expect it to go viral or anything, but I'm pretty sure it has 4 likes on Instagram. And that's funny because it did take me 4 hours to edit. But that's just how it is. Also, I did my nails. I am obsessed with them. I bought this shirt and it didn't get here in time for me to wear it in DC, but I loved the shirt so much that I thought I would do my nails for the shirt, because if you can't tell, stars are my thing. But yeah, I miss you guys so bad. I did not realize that you guys were gonna just love the last video that I put out, and it is doing extremely well. At least for my metrics, it's doing extremely well, and that is just a sign that I'm on the right track. I have my finger on the pulse of something that people want to hear about, which is so good, because I don't know a single content creator that is willing to put themselves through the humiliation ritual that is constantly complaining about how friendless you are or have been in your life. But hi, there's somebody for everybody. So I'm glad that I'm finding my people. Obviously, though, I did miss you guys. I decided to switch my post date to Wednesday because I just thought that was going to be the better option. And I think it is going to be the better option, but it is throwing off my week. But also, who's watching YouTube on Saturdays? You know what I mean? So I am really hoping that this is a good decision. If you're watching this the day I post it, thank you so much and happy Wednesday. And if you're not, happy whatever the day of the week it is for you. I'm feeling good today, but I did wake up with a raging headache, so I don't know what that's about. It's not fully still here, but also this is not a task that enhances the pain of a headache to me, so even if I was burdened by that, I don't think that this would be something that would be affected by that very much, you know what I mean? So whatever. But I'm really getting into this. This topic is so freaking important to me. I've been wanting to talk about this for such a long time, and I'll probably talk about it again, but yeah, friend groups are overrated, so let's get into it. Today, I am drinking a watered down radioactive energy drink from a shop close to my house, so that's fun. It's blue raspberry and lime, and it's sugar free. I don't ever have energy drinks in these videos, so this is a first. Usually I have coffee. Anyways, it's time for you to get whatever beverage of your choosing that you would like for this video. Get a snack if you want a snack. We are in for a very, very important video. I just want to start the video off by saying I am going to argue throughout this entire video that most of the time friend groups are overrated. I'm going to argue that from the ages of probably teenagehood to early adulthood. I'm going to paint a pretty clear picture on why I think that. I'm not just going to make an opinion claim like that and then not back it up with merited evidence, but friend groups are overrated. We're gonna sit with that for a second, but I do want to say, I have never ever been in a friend group that didn't eventually sour and turn toxic, and if you can relate to that, you might feel like you're the cause of that experience, because 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, it's not that bad. But if you have been exiled from friend group, joined another one, and then had it turn against you or turn sour or become so toxic that it was almost suffocating to be a member of that group, and then you had to leave, either again on your own volition or because nobody else wants you there, you might start to think that this is your fault because it's happened so many times. This is where I was for the last 5 years? I don't know. I mean, until a year ago, I really thought that I was not only the common denominator of my bad friendship experiences, I was the cause 100% of the time to 100% capacity. It was so painful for me to go through a friend group breakup, which is different than a friendship breakup, and I'm going to paint that picture for you too, so you're going to understand exactly the language I'm referring to here. I would take a friend group breakup situation and internalize everything that I thought those girls thought about me, and I would let it define my worth to the point where it was extremely detrimental to me. I didn't believe I had the capacity to be a good friend, which was something that I have really been happy about my ability to do so my whole life. I've been more sacrificial for my friends than other people. I've shown up for my friends more consistently than they've shown up for me almost every single time. I remember things about people. I'm proactive in showing people that I care. It's very rare that I have a friend that I'm not driving the reaching out for. So for me to go from being confident in my ability to be a good friend to believing wholeheartedly that I was undeserving of friendship was very hard for me. And if you've ever been in this situation, you literally will feel like it's your fault. And to some degree, I'm sure it was my fault. I'm sure that participating in these systems was something that actually actively contributed to me being kicked out of friend groups or needing to leave friend groups. Okay, so I'm not saying that I'm completely blameless, but if you're watching this and you relate to feeling like you've never found groups of people that fit with you, you've never found that group that you just mesh with, it can very easily get to a point where you start blaming yourself. You stay up at night asking questions about like, oh, why do they hate me? Why is this my fault? Why does nobody like me? And that is not something that young women need to be dealing with. Obviously, I do create videos for girls, but if you're a guy and you're seeing this, I can't imagine how hard that must be. Like, truly, friend groups are overrated. And if you have bad experiences with them a few times in a row, or you have a few data points from your life, going back to like elementary and middle school is when people start having friendship problems, like that can be very hard on your sense of worth, on your sense of value, especially in a social context. And this video is really just to show like you might be a common denominator, but you also don't need to let your bad luck or your routine negative experiences or even previous mistakes define your value on like the friendship market or just as a person. You don't need to let this define your value. For years, I thought there was something like fundamentally wrong with me. And if I had a video like this, even 3 years ago, it would have been a game changer. Oftentimes when I talk to girls my age who relate to me, we have a very shared experience in the childhood wound area. Like we both have this commonality of problems arising even in early childhood where you were excommunicated by groups of girls repeatedly, or adults interpreted you having all these issues as proof that you did something wrong. I remember every time I would come home crying about girls being mean to me when I was in like 7th or 8th grade, my parents would always be like, well, what did you do? Why does drama always follow you? And while those are valuable questions to ask, that narrative immediately presented me with the belief that no matter what I did mentally to get through these problems, I had to first understand it was my fault somehow. Instead of really even asking the question of like, is this my fault or is this just a bad luck situation? Is this something that I've actually done? Did I do something to deserve this? Or is this just something about me that I need to confront and accept? Also, when I talk to people who relate to this, people always share with me that it really, really feels like we spend so much time trying to figure out how it's our fault. And I truly notice in my own life and other people's lives who have expressed to me that they have friendship problems is we all have something that I have deemed a polarizing personality. It's in the name. It's a personality that you didn't create, that you didn't prescribe yourself, that you didn't think up, but it's a personality, a list of characteristics about you that you've always had that are very polarizing, that don't inspire neutrality. Now, the connotation of polarizing is bad, but in this video I would just ask that you release the connotation. Let's talk about it from a denotative perspective, okay? What the definition of polarizing means. It doesn't always mean something negative. We have a culture where it's just increasingly polarized, and that is a net problem, okay? But for the sake of this video, polarizing doesn't have to mean something terrible, and I don't think it does when it comes to a personality, especially if you're a woman. I don't think that that is a bad thing whatsoever. Maybe I'm biased because I'm the most polarizing person I know, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I used to have an insane, just like consuming sense of self-loathing for my personality. But if you relate to any of these, then you also might have a polarizing personality where people either really seem to like you when they first meet you or just really dislike you and you don't really know why. And that maybe you stress out about first impressions because you know from experience, like, people will decide in the first 30 seconds of talking to you if they love you or hate you. Maybe if you're a funny person, your humor will really, really land with some people, and then others just, like, completely go over their heads. I've always been stressed because I have very specific kinds of humor that just come naturally to me. And sometimes when I'm being like sarcastic or ironic and I'm just like having conversational humor, that's not like I'm trying to tell jokes, I'm just trying to be funny as I talk, and people don't get it, it's like, oh, like I get so embarrassed, I'm like, I'm actually gonna go hide under a rock because like that's so embarrassing. But it's not something that I can control, it's not something that I'm doing on purpose, and it's not anyone else's fault for not like clicking with me, you know what I mean? So if you relate to that, then you could very easily have a polarizing personality. If your confidence, if your values, if your energy, and like if your intensity like really divides people into groups of people who are fans of this and then not a fan of this, like this can make you very incompatible for group structures. When you're in a friend group or a group at all, people with divided reactions on things will always result in tension. So if one of the girls in the group absolutely hates your sense of humor, for example, but like 2 or 3 other girls really love it, that becomes tension. So even if you're not doing anything negative, your polarity with people might translate to tension between others that you have no part in. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if you aren't a digestible, easy to be around, very mild human being, your presence is just naturally going to cause tension based on how people perceive you differently and how they notice each other perceiving you differently. I think that's a super easy concept to grasp, and when I realized that, I was like, why haven't I thought of that before? But truly the way that I got to these conclusions that we're talking about in this video is by like really having conversations with people who relate to this and also rereading my journal entries from high school. And I'm not kidding. But I need to talk about this. Like, I thought I wasn't going to deal with this in college, and I have. Since I'm still in college, I don't think I'm going to do any story times during this video about it. Maybe after I graduate, I'll tell you all the horrible things in detail. But since it's ongoing, I'm not going to do that. But there are so many things, even that I can pull from high school and middle school. And before I get any comments saying that I should be, like, moved on or, like, I shouldn't, like, be hung up on this, those experiences shaped who I was. And they still have a part in shaping who I am. So shut up. I don't care that you think I should move on from it. There's a difference between admitting that something affected you and left an imprint on who you are and the way that your fear response interacts with social settings, okay? Versus actively mourning the grief that you feel from when someone doesn't want to sit with you in the cafeteria, okay? There's a difference. I can accept that something happened and is no longer relevant to my emotional state while accepting that something happened and understanding its lasting impact on me as a person and how I think and navigate the world around me, okay? So shut up. I don't care that you think I should move on. I have moved on. I'm just not dumb enough to act like that doesn't leave a lasting impact, and neither should you. I get a lot of comments saying like, why does she still care? Like she's talking about stuff from high school. Hello? Those were my developmental years. Big events, emotional events that happened during developmental years for anyone leaves an impact that you can either choose to ignore or choose to acknowledge and grow from. Okay? Thank you. Okay, we're moving on. So we know about a polarizing personality, right? Like we know what that is now. We know that if you're still watching this, you probably either are the person with the polarizing personality or you know one. Now let's get into the friend groups, because I've been a part of dozens, mind you, dozens. And even when I'm not leaving friend groups because something absolutely horrible happened or they decided they didn't like me, I still notice things about that friend group that are inherently not working as good as they could have, right? So there's been friend groups where I've been kicked out of, I've chosen to leave, and I just kind of like realized maybe these aren't the people that I want to be around all the time, and I've just kind of Irish goodbyed, like silently disappeared from, and nothing happened, there's no beef, whatever. But given that I already have a proclivity to being a social butterfly and I have had so many negative experiences, I've just noticed a group of shared traits between friend groups of young women. And when I say young women, that's the only thing I can speak on, sorry. Obviously, this probably translates into young male friend group circles, but truly I only prefer to speak on things that I'm like confident that I know. So the biggest thing that I've noticed about friend groups is that most of the time, if you have a polarizing personality, you stick out like a sore thumb. The sorest of thumbs, I might argue. Like, the most sore thumbs. I have in my notes for this video a disclaimer that I want to do right here, because there's a difference between people treating you horribly for no reason or for the reason that isn't worthy of treating somebody as bad as they're treating you, which I'm arguing is just having a bit of a more intense personality than other people. There's a difference between that and getting kicked out of a friend group because you did something terrible. So right here, let's do a check. Did you break girl code in any way to get kicked out of the friend group that you're thinking about right now? Okay. Did you sleep with anybody's boyfriend? Did you make up lies and rumors about somebody in the group? Are you just overall a mean girl? Are you breaking girl code in any way, right? If any of those things apply to you, please stop watching this video and go fix that situation in your life. But for everyone else that hasn't done anything wrong, that has never been problematic to that degree, and who has never done anything deserving of excommunication, this video is for you. I want to emphasize the point that none of us are doing anything on purpose. Our only crime is being a little bit more intense. That's it. I don't personally think that's a crime, and that's why I'm making this video, is because girls can be super mean. But like, if you've done something that deserves to be, removed, then your removal is not unjustified, and I cannot help you. But when we're diving into the nature of friend groups, I've noticed that friend groups thrive in uniformity. You have to be consistent with everybody else for everyone to feel secure. And the reason why we are so prone to make friend groups is because that's where we feel safest. We're social human beings. We feel safe in numbers, and that just makes perfect sense. When we are in a space of just one other person, it can be easy to worry about specific things that you don't have to worry about if you're in a friend group that has a uniform, consistent, through and through attitude or shared set of beliefs or common set of behaviors or whatever it may be that a friend group provides. Friend groups are very unique in their ability to provide a sense of security, especially to young women who tend to be immature because they're young and tend to be insecure because they're young. And also, who's a young woman and not insecure? Like, we are plagued with insecurity in our culture in 2026. I've never met a teenager that's not riddled with insecurity, okay, of all kinds. And when we are in a group, it feels like we are given a status of accepted, and that is something that can really help people get through the most tough years of their pre-adolescence. So I'm not saying that friend groups aren't enticing. If anything, I am a moth to the flame that is a friend group, or at least I used to be before I realized I truly do think at this point they're overrated. I don't think the grass is greener on the other side when you're scrolling on Instagram and you see that one group of girls who's always taking pictures together. I don't think that anymore, but I used to. Bad. So I understand this. But friend groups thrive on uniformity. They do. Friend groups thrive on everyone having a different color of a walla and everyone believing that this one professor at their school is really annoying. Things like that. Millie, could you not interrupt my videos every single time I post? Come here, baby. You're so cute. Do you want to come here? Hang on, she wants to say hi. Is that fine? Say hello. I don't want to see any hate comments about Golden Doodle. She's perfect, okay? She's my soulmate. I love you. Mwah. Do you want to lay down behind Mama? Okay, she's gonna go to her little bed. There's a bed behind me. Sorry about that interruption. But friend groups absolutely thrive on uniformity and people agreeing with pretty similar things, people dressing in pretty similar ways. Think about that scene in Mean Girls where you walk in and every single friend group has their own designated table. And they all look the same. It's because friend groups are safe, friend groups are secure, and they operate according to agreed upon standards. The second thing I've noticed about every single friend group I've ever been in is that they thrive on hierarchy. That's the reason that I really think friend groups are overrated, is because for some reason, young women refuse to see each other as equals. For some reason, we're constantly sizing each other up, comparing ourselves, ranking each other. It's like we can't help it. It's in our nature. I've taken part in this. I still take part in this mentally. I don't do it on purpose, but nobody does. This hierarchical demand of friend groups makes the nature of friend groups in itself a winners and losers game. And for girls like us, right, if you're watching this and you're like, yeah, I'm very polarizing and I don't know why, I just make more facial expressions than other people do when they talk, or I have better opinions than other people that I'm more willing to share, or I do more research into new trends and I always have the cutest clothes, whatever it is that makes you the polarizing figure, you and I both must agree that for us, it's a loser's game. We'll get into the winners of this game later. But friend groups and their hierarchical nature truly, in my opinion, makes it impossible to be in a friend group and not be ranked constantly. And I feel like in friend groups, given the ranking system that they demand, there's always someone at the top. There's always a favorite. I say favorite because usually this person is someone who everyone else consents to let them dictate what goes on, So it's someone who gets to decide the collective group's opinions on people, on problems, on pop culture, whatever. They get to decide who the group likes and who the group dislikes. They get to decide what trends the group follows. They get to decide what behaviors are acceptable in the group. They get to decide what activities are important, what ideas are approved, which inside jokes eventually die, which conversations become old and unworthy of having anymore, and which people the group outgrows. The ranking system commands there to be a favorite and a least favorite, and the favorite gets to control the emotional and social temperature of the group. And basically everyone else gets to follow suit. Obviously, the other people in a friend group who are like more neutral and like are neither the favorite nor the least favorite, they still partake in the issue that I'm going to fully describe further on in the video. But I'm just showing you what the favorite actually looks like, because I want to say I have never seen the polarizing girl and the favorite girl be the same person. I've never seen that. I have seen friend groups where a polarizing girl is able to slide by without being the least favorite, but I've never in my life seen a polarizing personality kind of girl just large and in charge and leading with everyone else happily being around her and letting her do this. I want to do a deep dive on this more. I love talking about the nature of friend groups. I think it's actually super like Darwinist, I guess. Like I think it's like really funny to see like women interact with each other, and like I feel like how everyone stereotypes like male friend groups to be barbaric. I think women can be basically the exact same way. This idea that teenage girls aren't capable of being cutthroat is ridiculous. This idea that 20-year-old women can't be completely evil and cruel is like ridiculous to me. I think it's quite hilarious to dive into that, and so I want to do a video. Let me know if you're interested in the comments, please. If you're interested in like what it takes to truly be like the leader of a friend group, right? And like I call it the favorite because I think the leader is like cheesy, and I do think the favorite is more of like a accurate term to describe like what purpose that person serves in a group. So if you want a deep dive video on like what it takes to be like a Regina George type of figure in a friend group, I would love to make a video about that later on. So now I feel like we have to ask the question, like, why have favorites and least favorites anyway? If I haven't fully answered that already, like let's get into it now, because I feel like a lot of comments that would critique this would say, well, I've been in a friend group where everyone was treated equally, and it's like that I'm not talking about you, and your friend group is the outlier. If women usually, like if we gravitated towards, okay, numbers and also treating each other equally, we would not have half of the coming of age novels and movies that we have today. So don't bring that in here telling me that that's the norm. It's not. It defies human nature to do that. It defies hormonal changes to do that. It defies everything that is easy to do that. And it defies our sense of security to do that. It takes a lot of maturity and a lot of self-acceptance and a lot of patience and open-mindedness to engage in a friend group where everyone is able to truly just uplift each other up. Like the best examples that we have in media still aren't that great. I find myself watching Sex and the City and truly just wishing I could be in a group like that. But even their friend group that stayed very consistent throughout the entire show, and I'm not talking about the spinoffs, I don't watch the spinoffs, that stayed super consistent throughout the show, still had its problems. And that's like one of the best all-girl friend groups that we've seen in media. It's still imperfect, okay? So I definitely want to get into like why we need them. I think it really comes down to the fact that immature groups of women will bond over having a common enemy. I think that's what it is. I mean, it's no secret that in America, our national pride rankings go way through the roof whenever we're at war with another country. Okay, it's not a secret, right? And even in Wicked, the Wizard of Oz was like, the best way to bring people together is to give them a real common enemy. And like looked off menacingly at Elphaba, and she was like, bro, like what are we talking about right now? Like truly, I think that the easiest way to have an in-group is by defining an out-group, and you don't even need a group to have that. And like in-groups can talk about multiple different out-groups. Like your friend group can have an out-group that's everyone else and an out-group that's you. Like that's possible. Least favorites, right, like the polarizing women, stick out in dynamics, making it super natural for immature women to just separate themselves from you and rank themselves and elect you as the least favorite without ever having to say the ugly part out loud. That's another part of this that's so scary, is like no one needs to talk about this. Nobody needs to make an official decree for this to happen. Favorites and least favorites just show up because that is in our nature. If it wasn't in our nature, it wouldn't happen to the scale and caliber that it does. Again, obviously mature friend groups just wouldn't need this, but that's not why I'm making this video. In groups genuinely do thrive with the presence of outgroups, and there is a twisted sense of security that comes from this. The second reason is that everyone benefits from having a least favorite other than the least favorite. The favorite gets power, influence, popularity, admiration in comparison to the least favorite. And everyone else who isn't the favorite or the least favorite gets to know that, hey, at least I'm not the least favorite. By proxy, they are more accepted than somebody else. And even if you're in second to last place on this ranking, it's still comforting to know you're not in last place. So like the more neutral people who are in the middle of this ranking system, it's still comforting to at least not be the outcast. It's at least comforting to at least be not the one who everyone seems to like the least, basically. Like, at least I'm not the most expendable, at least this serves as a function to show me that I'm not the most expendable, that at least I'm more relevant than she is. The least favorite is not someone who is randomly disliked. They play a social function. They play a role. And it could be anybody. We're going to get into that in a second. But the least favorite truly does play a purpose. They're there by design. And when you are the least favorite, you can mistake the attachment that they all have to you as value. But their attachment is not based in caring about you or being intentional with you. They like you there because you boost their egos. You hold the place that nobody else wants, so they don't have to. If you're the least favorite, yeah, sometimes you will feel like you're important, but it's really not because they actually care, it's because they need you there to serve that function. You're a placeholder. When I realized that, it was really hard for me, but then I also realized anybody can become the least favorite for being just a little bit different than other people, or a little bit less willing to change who they are for other people. I've noticed 5 themes that designate a least favorite pretty simply. All you have to do, 1, you can be unrelenting in your sense of right and wrong. That's it. You can be unwilling to change your standards and stoop down to other people's level. That can make you a least favorite. Another thing is having really strong opinions on topics. That can make you a least favorite if you're specifically super active in sharing your opinions and you have a lot of opinions. Maybe that makes you a bit more polarizing, therefore making you the least favorite, even though you're not doing anything wrong. A third thing that I've noticed is really having confidence and not being afraid of being confident. I always think of that one scene in Mean Girls where all the girls are complaining about themselves and then Katie has to say something bad about herself, but she's not insecure yet. So she says, I have really bad breath in the morning, and everyone's nah, ew. I think that is a super good example of this. The fourth thing that I've noticed you can do to make yourself a least favorite is have something that other girls envy. Possess a quality that other girls want. Be prettier than them or something. Be smarter than them or whatever. Be funnier than them. Be more traveled than them. Have a better style than them. Do something that makes them insecure. And I'm not saying that objectively you are prettier or you are funnier and that's why other people hate you. I'm just saying if you make someone feel like they're inferior, the best thing that they can do is make you feel the exact same way by making you the least favorite, especially if all of the girls agree. It's super bad if you are just in complete, blatant, undeniable possession of a desirable quality that the other girls don't relate to, and then they all realize hey, we're all jealous of this one thing. They will gang up on you so fast. And the fifth thing that I've noticed can make you a least favorite, which I relate to personally, is just having a few quirks that are kind of weird to other people, talking too much, getting loud when you're excited about things, being rigid about your time. I'm super rigid about planning, and I get super stressed out with my friends whenever we are late for something. Maybe you have a difficult family life, maybe you dress a little bit differently, maybe if you're younger, it matters then. If you're a late bloomer to puberty, you can do really anything to have a quirk that other people notice and can obsess over and use as a signal that you are ranked lower than they are. And that is something that I strongly relate to. I don't really have a ton of strong opinions that I share to my friends that would offend them. I'm not hyper confident or whatever. I don't possess things that make other women jealous all the time, I don't think. But I do have a lot of quirks. For me personally, I'm very expressive whenever I talk. Also, I am pretty unwilling to just let people treat each other like garbage. So if someone's being rude in a friend group, I'll pretty much just call it out and make sure that we all see it so that we don't do it anymore. But also, I've never been the favorite, so I've never gotten to dictate what's acceptable behavior in our group or not. And given those 5 very common themes that I've noticed about least favorites. I want to do some case studies on each of these things. The first thing that I mentioned was being unrelenting in your sense of moral right and wrong. This one makes you a least favorite because truly it shows the favorite or everybody else that you're not just going to bend to their will and submit yourself to the wrongdoings that are happening. A lot of the times with insecure friend groups of immature young women, there's a lot of gossiping, a lot of jealousy, a lot of backstabbing, and if you're not willing to do that, you're not going to fit in and make everybody else feel like their actions are morally permissible when you know they're not. I think about when Jenny Humphrey in Gossip Girl had this arc that she went on where she was like dismantling the structure of Queen Bee, and she got like elected as Queen Bee, and then she was like, yeah, like tables belong to everybody, and everyone treated her like garbage. Like all of Blair's ex-minions treated her like trash because she just decided like, hey, this is morally wrong. We shouldn't be letting girls like rank each other and like compete against each other constantly, and like we should have friendships that are genuinely built on a mutual affection of one another, not competition. And so she went on this like rampage of like doing the right thing, and then she ended up with like I think yogurt in her hair, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it was really weird and people hated her for that, and that immediately deemed her the least favorite. She lost all of her social credibility, she lost all of her relevance, she lost all of her favorability. Like everyone decided to just like turn their back on her and hate her. Even the people that she treated properly, like trying to save from this structure, like even they weren't able to like her because they were more willing to ditch their standards. I just find that example really interesting. Another way that you can become just like a least favorite is when I think of Kat Stratford from 10 Things I Hate About You. She decided to be a least favorite, which I think makes that example a little bit less accurate, but I do want to just bring this up because everybody I know loves this movie, and if you're watching my content then you probably also love this movie. But she just held so many strong opinions and she would say them, and people would groan when she would talk in class, and her friends that actually did like her for who she was appreciated her because of that, which we'll get into later. But she was a least favorite by everyone because she became extremely willing to share her very strong, educated opinions on things, and that freaked people out, as it does. The third way that you can be exiled from a group and decided to be the least favorite or whatever is just by being more confident than other people. Usually when this happens, again, I think about Elle Woods from Legally Blonde. Like, she was so sure of herself, and Vivian did not like her because she was so confident. Vivian and all of Vivian's friends refused to include her, refused to deem her as valuable, and refused to appreciate her until they got past this surface level issue. But while they were obsessed with the fact that Elle Woods was so confident, that was the reason Elle Woods was not admitted. It wasn't because she was Warner's ex. Let's be so honest. Vivian didn't like Elle because Elle possessed something that Vivian didn't, which was confidence and boldness and a willingness to just be herself in front of other people and not be so stiff. The fourth thing that I mentioned for this case study is possessing a quality that other girls don't have. I think this is a very funny example, and if you know what I'm talking about, then you will know. But the way that Blair and all of Blair's minions treated Nelly Yuki for being smarter than them, that was terrible. Can we please talk about that? Again, usually I'm a Blair apologist, but the way that she treated Nelly Yuki was absolutely dastardly. Like, that was terrible. All because Nelly Yuki was smarter than her and a better candidate for the college that Blair wanted to go to. I mean, are we kidding? Like, is that a joke? I don't understand that. Ugh, I've just, like, never understood the jealousy thing. But when everyone agrees that you are a threat in some way or you possess something that they don't have, it makes you the easiest one to go after. If I ever do a deep dive on what it takes to be the favorite of a friend group, I want to cover this because you'd think that this would make someone a favorite. You'd think, but it doesn't. It actually makes you stick out like a sore thumb and makes people hate you for some reason. I don't know. This has never happened to me to my knowledge. I don't think that a group of girls has ever just like started to hate me because they were jealous of me for some reason. I don't have a lot of things to be like jealous of. I think I'm pretty cool, but I've never related to this, and something that I've always been confused about is why this doesn't give you more social power. In fact, it gives you less if girls want to tear you down because they see something in you that makes them jealous. So I don't know, but the way that Blair treated Nelly Yuki and everyone else just agreed to treat her was so funny to me. Okay, and again, this last one I saved for last because I relate to it the most, but having a quirk that other people just don't like The case study that I bring up for this one is Max from Ginny and Georgia. Maxine is a character who is super talkative, super chatty, super bold, super out and about. She has a very polarizing personality. She's got a very big personality. She's super outspoken about what she likes, and she's got a lot of expectations for her friends. And a lot of her quirks make her kind of tiring for other people to be around, and that's okay. Like, she's the kind of person that might run out other people's social batteries a bit more. But she had a friend group that was close. She had a friend group that was tight. She had a friend group that had previously not treated her this way. And then as soon as it got convenient for everyone to leave her behind, they did, and justified it by saying, "Oh, come on, Max, don't be dramatic again." And I feel like I relate to her so much. Like, every time I watch Ginny and Georgia, I have to be careful to, like, really not let myself, like, get so emotionally invested, because, like, that's my life. Like, I genuinely don't know what it is about me, but people just seem to want to take me in low doses, I guess. And the friends that I've been able to have the longest don't feel that way about me, or I don't see them as long as I usually do, or I don't hang out with them for longer periods of time than I do with other people. And that always bothers me. And if I ever figure out what about me that specifically it is, I'll let you know. But, you know, I ask myself that all the time, but I don't know. I mean, Max was just someone who had a bigger personality and was super, super thoughtful. Like, she had more retrospect in her finger than all of those other girls did combined. Like, she thought more about her life and her actions and the way people perceive her than anybody else. She cares so much about people. She extends herself all the time. Sorry guys, my camera just died, so I just had to take a break. We're back. Yeah, I like had my camera fully charged. I've just been talking for this long, so don't worry guys, we're close. We'll wrap it up soon. But yeah, when I think about Max, it's like heartbreaking. Like, her arc from like being accepted and then having like one or two things in her friend group change, and then everyone just like decide that she's too dramatic for them and too complicated for them. It's like bull. It's complete bull. And I just relate to her so much. Like, I can't watch Ginny and Georgia without like actually like seeing myself in her. She's like a comfort character, I guess, because I relate to her so much. Okay, sometimes after the case studies, I don't actually have any advice. I just want to comment on a social phenomena that I'm noticing, but this time I do actually have advice. I got you, baddies. I couldn't make a video about this and then not talk about what I've learned, because I've been through this so many times. The first thing that I would notice if I were you, or I would like try to realize and adopt as a mindset, is that genuinely friend groups are overrated. They always demand some kind of hierarchy and uniformity, and that's exhausting. That is so hard to deal with if you're someone who is bold. Like, even at their best, okay, they pressure people to adopt group standards. That's the point. That is their design. If that's something that you're willing to do, and you're willing to concede your values and your personality to whatever degree your friend group demands or needs that week, go for it. But I'm not, and I don't think you are either, because I think you would have clicked off this video by now. It is so hard to move freely, grow freely, think freely, exist freely in a group that demands everyone to depend on the same social rules. Friend groups are not agents of growth. At their best, they are agents of community, but that is not the same thing as being an agent of growth. And we're young. We don't have time. At least I'm young. We don't have time to not be growing. This is the growing stage. When you're 40, maybe you don't need to grow, and maybe community can serve its purpose for you. But if you're watching this and you're in the 18 to 24 age group, or you're in high school, you do not have time not to grow right now. And at their worst, they are agents of containment. The second thing I'd notice is maybe friend groups are just not productive because they oftentimes commit morally impermissible acts and command everyone else to partake in that. Maybe you're not okay with gossiping about people you call your friend. Maybe you're not okay with pretending like certain things aren't actually happening, and certain people aren't being passive aggressive, and certain people aren't insulting you to your face or other people to their face. Maybe you're not okay with that, and maybe that should matter to you. Maybe you would normally speak up if someone in front of you is getting mistreated, but for some reason you're nervous to when you're in a friend group, and you let that part of yourself go, which, mind you, is a pivotal part of who you are. Like, when you're in a friend group and something's going wrong, which is almost always in my experience, you have to decide whether to be a problem and say something, or tolerate it and basically just eat plates of crap all the time. And like, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but truly, that's the issue. That's the issue. You are letting go of your moral standards most of the time to engage in a group, especially when we're young and immature and insecure. Membership to these groups comes at a huge cost, a lot of the time, to your moral compass, to your sense of morality. And that's just not something that I'm willing to bargain anymore, and I don't think you should either. It makes you accept things because the group does. The thing about groups is that it's so much easier to feel like you're defective as a human being when a lot of other people are on the other side of it. So like if you are in a one-on-one friendship and you have a disagreement, it's your word against theirs. It's your opinion against theirs. But when you're in a group and you're the least favorite, that constant feeling of I'm the worst one here or I'm the most expendable one here, that will eventually weigh on you to the point where you start to believe what other people act about you is true. What people act like is true about you. Like, toxicity can happen on one-on-one friendships, like tons, okay? I've experienced that a lot too. But being the least favorite is so different in a group setting because several people contribute to that narrative, and that can be a lot. If the group creates a shared belief that you are the dramatic one or the annoying one or the irritating one or the disposable one, that's not something that's easy on you at all, even if it's something that like you only notice in the back of your mind, like even if it's something that you haven't fully admitted to yourself yet. I talk about that in my article. I should have talked about that in my video, but I knew this video was going to be super long. But basically in my article I go into like more of what it's like to be in denial that you're the least favorite, so definitely check that out if you are unsure. But if you're this far in the video, I think you're sure. It truly is just harder to be treated like garbage when you're not in a group dynamic. It's just so much easier to leave like one-on-one friendships that aren't serving you instead of leaving a whole group. For polarizing girls, right, people like me that have just something about them that doesn't sit right with like half the people you meet or whatever, one-on-one friendships can serve as a healthier place where there's just less room for hierarchy, favorites or least favorites, and that just really doesn't exist by the nature of singular friendships. Just genuinely, I think that friend groups thrive on drama. I think they thrive on issues. I think they thrive on hierarchy. I think they thrive on always deeming someone to play the role of the least favorite and the favorite, and I think it's exhausting. I do. I think that friend groups survive because of their problems. I think there's a misconception that friend groups are striving towards healthy dynamics most of the time, and that even if they're unhealthy, at least they're working towards being healthy. I think that's not true. I think a lot of friend groups deep down rely on problematic dynamics. I do. And leaving a group can be terrifying. Being kicked out of a group can be terrifying, but it creates the space that you need as someone with a bold personality to thrive and to grow and develop. It oftentimes creates much more peace, especially for girls like us. I think that when you are in a friend group, you always have a lot of voices in your head, and given that you truly are who you surround yourself with, I think it's really difficult to maintain your own opinion on things when you're in friend groups because you have so much input from other people all the time. And where I'm at right now, I'm not in any friend groups, but I do have singular friendships in a lot of different areas, and that is so much more productive for me as someone who has a bolder, bigger, more polarizing personality, because one, I am able to flow freely in and out of their lives and them mine. It gives me the freedom to do that. Two, I'm more confident that the people who spend time with me and elect to keep me in their life actually want me there because there's no group pressure forcing us to be in the same room, in the same space, in the same group chat. Three, being by myself has given me the space to cultivate my individuality, and that makes it easier for new people in the future to find me. I have this confidence that if you are being yourself and you refuse to compromise on your standards, and you know who you are, and you accept yourself every day for who you are, the people who want to find you will find you much easier. When you're in a friend group and you're compromising all of those things and you're conceding the parts of your personality that make up who you are, it's basically impossible for people to find you who would authentically love you. So when you are choosing to move away from the group dynamic that can be really hard, right? And you accept yourself for the polarizing figure that you might be, everyone else gets the opportunity to do the same thing. And they will. With time, they will. And the times where I was submitted to a group that didn't serve me, which, hello, groups have never benefited me. They've never been a net good. But every part of my life where I've been inside of a group, where I've traded my personality for membership to a group, I haven't been able to find friends that actually like me. Outside of that, I've never been able to. I can't multitask in that way. I don't think that you can either. Leaving a group, getting kicked out of a group can be hard, but it's a net good in your life. And I'm fully convinced that doing that and allowing that moment to be the beginning of a chapter where you're seeking acceptance and seeking people who also accept you, it will turn out better. It will be okay. You will be fine. It's going to be good for you. You're no longer going to have to think every day, what are they thinking about me right now? When was the last time I made somebody mad and I didn't know? Or are they mad at me right now? Or why do they never comment on my post but I'm expected to comment on theirs or else it's a problem? Or like, why am I always behind the camera when we take group pictures and I'm never in the group pictures? Or honestly, just what did I do to make them all hate me? Like, you don't have to think about those things anymore when you're not plagued by a group. Boldness and originality in a person need space to survive, and if you possess those qualities, why would you ever let yourself get into a position where those are going to be suffocated? I don't want my unique qualities to be snuffed out by other people. Do not trade who you are for admission into a mediocre group of girls who don't actually want the best for you. I truly believe that the friendships that you're seeking as someone with a polarizing personality, as someone who knows what they want and knows what they believe, those friendships are going to show up at the right time on their own. I just believe that they're going to come into your life individually at the exact right time. And that has served me a lot, and I think it'll serve you a lot too. Okay, this is by far my longest video. I hope that what we talked about makes sense. I hope that what we talked about resonates with you. I think it's pretty hard to talk about things like this in such a general way because there's so much nuance in a lot of groups. Like, every single friend group, as problematic as they can get and as constant as that can seem from my shared experiences, like, every single group I've been in has been nuanced, so I hope that I've carried this conversation with that in mind and being respectful of everyone's experiences, because truly it's so hard to make YouTube videos that it's gonna land perfectly with everyone, but I hope that it landed with you, because if it did, then you're the exact person I'm talking to. I'm not really talking to the people who don't relate to this or don't want to talk about how hard it is to be a young woman wanting solid friendships and not seeing that. But as always, I love you. I'm so grateful for your time. If you've watched till the end, comment this emoji. It'll let me know who stayed. It'll let me know who is here. If you have anything to say, please comment that as well. I reply to all of my comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. I will see you next Wednesday. Thank you for listening to Too Much, episode 4, and make sure to check out my column. Bye.